why women don't respect you. Part of the reason women don't truly stay attracted to you and don't really respect you, at least for the long term, is because you suck at setting boundaries. You may be nice, but you're so nice that you become fake. Your niceness, even if you don't mean for it to be, carries an agenda. You're nice, so you get love and affection. You're not willing to sacrifice short-term harmony for long-term compatibility and peace. Women, and human beings in general, to be honest, only value what we invest in. And when you set a boundary with somebody, what happens is, that is an implied ultimatum. You're never supposed to set a full ultimatum in a relationship, an outright one, but a boundary is an implied ultimatum because either what happens then is she'll walk away and the relationship ends, or she'll accept the boundary. For example, her wanting good morning and good evening text messages when you're not even in a relationship yet. And what happens then is you become a being in space, you become way more masculine to her, and she realizes, oh, this guy respects himself, therefore I respect him. By changing the words you utter, which starts with your mindset, you then change how people perceive you. Because in the realm of social dynamics, perception equals reality. It doesn't matter how worthy or deserving of love you are as a man if it's not conveyed. If she does not respect you, attraction dies off. It doesn't matter how successful you are in your career or your business. You're a successful martial artist, you're playing saxophone, the piano. It doesn't matter. None of these objective factors matter if you can say, hey, no, don't do that, please. That's not okay. If you can't show up in a maturely loving, yet really masculine way, she will lose interest in you. And all you have to change is the way you show up. It's just communication. Communication is the great differentiator, my friend. Why is it that there are really attractive men who are good looking, in good shape, who are successful, who can't find or keep the right woman, who end up in relationships with women who disrespect him because they suck at setting boundaries? It is absolutely true that the same woman will treat one person amazing, should be the kindest, nicest, sweetest, most agreeable girl, and she might challenge you, disrespect you, walk all over you. Why is that the fact? Because you show up differently. And it starts, one, with saying, I will never tolerate certain types of behavior ever again. I'm only gonna tolerate extremely respectful behavior. Why? Because that's what I'm giving. You're already somebody who treats women really nicely. I'm not saying that you're supposed to be one of those immaturely masculine guys who just demands respect without giving it, and then being a total dickhead towards her. That's not what I'm saying at all. But since you're already kind and caring, you deserve that in return. But it doesn't matter whether you factually deserve it or if it doesn't manifest itself in your words. Have you even ever recently, in the past couple of years, in your dating or relationship process, said to a woman, no, don't do that? No, don't do that, please? Like that? No, why? Because you're afraid of losing her. Because we as human beings, we're gonna sacrifice our values to meet our needs. Your value might be, I wanna be respected in a relationship. Your need is love and connection. And because you're coming from scarcity, you're worried that if you lose her, your need for love and connection won't be met. And you'll be alone forever. You're coming from scarcity. So in order to be able to set a boundary, like in business, to negotiate well, you need what? A big fat pipe. You need abundance. Now, you can have mental abundance and factual abundance. To perform really well, you actually need both, my friend, but it starts here. It starts with making a decision and realizing the world has 400 million women in your age group alone. Can you find one? Yeah, absolutely. If she doesn't respect you, you don't want to be with her anyway. You only want to be with her on certain terms. Now, it's going to be a mutually loving relationship. This is not just so you get laid. The guys who come to me, who I coach, men who are doing very well in their career or the business, they want to find a loving relationship on eye level. The way you get it is by setting boundaries and maintaining your value high in her eyes. Because how valuable she perceives you to be doesn't just depend on, again, your actual value, your little LinkedIn or your CV, or the companies you've sold or the investments you've made, or how kind you are for that matter, but how much you respect yourself. Because we as human beings are only gonna respect other people if they respect themselves. Now, if you're a kind person, you know this is true. Even if you make a conscious effort to treat everybody equally respectfully, right? And you may do that. I do the same. I hate it when people treat staff members poorly, Uber drivers poorly, receptionists, security guards. I hate that. They're human beings just as much. My father is a doctor, my mother's a nurse. My mom, she does not think in status at all. It doesn't exist to her. Somebody can be the mayor of the little 3,000 people cow town in Germany where I'm from, and she'll treat him exactly the way she would treat the cleaner of the little high school where I went. So status doesn't exist to her. So if you're like that and you treat people extremely well, isn't it also true that you value people differently, not in terms of their worth, but in terms of their desirability in a given marketplace? It's so true. Tony Robbins says it. It's not about the worth of your soul, but it's about the worth of you in the marketplace. That can be the worth of you in the job marketplace, with your business, with dating. And that depends on perception. So once you actually start setting boundaries and say, hey, up to this point and no further. And some of that is not necessarily verbal. It is non-verbal. It's in your energy. It's in your vibe. It sounds a little bit woo-woo, but it's true. Some of that depends on the actual words you utter, and some of it very much depends on your energy and how you hold eye contact. Whether you have rapport-seeking tonality, where the voice goes up by the end of the sentence, and every sentence sounds like a question and you come across weak, or you have neutral tonality, or you have rapport-breaking tonality, where your voice dips, it gets deeper by the end of the sentence. These are things you want to consciously integrate in the beginning, and eventually it becomes an unconscious competence. But truly, man, if you're in the right mental and emotional state, these things will come about as a consequence of being in the right state. I would like to encourage you to look at the abundance of this world and recommit to abundance on a daily basis. It's not enough to do it once. You have to do it over and over again. And that doesn't mean that you become a player where you have to go on hundreds of dates. But for you to communicate your needs in a relationship and then have them met, you have to have a willingness to walk away. If you want her to be truly attracted to you, you have to not care. You have to not give a shit whether this works out or not. I want you, but I don't need you. I want you, but I don't need you. Watch how excited she will be to be around you when you become fun and free-flowing in your communication and you just don't care and you just let go. When you actually don't care whether it works out with her or not, that's when you can have her. And this is a weird concept in the beginning to wrap your head around, I understand. Because obviously you want her, so how do I not want her when I want her? You want her as long as things are good. As long as she wants you, she has high desire for you, and you want her as long as she treats you respectfully. So you want her under certain conditions. And if those conditions are unmet, you walk away. And you are grounded in abundance because you understand that if you were to stay in a relationship or a marriage where you're not treated with respect, where your needs aren't met, that your self-esteem is going to suffer and you will become a shell of yourself and you'll suffer from depression or anxiety or anger. It'll be painful. You'll create emotional hell for yourself on this earth, my friend. And I went through a lot of that. I went through the dark night of the soul with my ex-wife. Again, she's not a bad person, but we weren't compatible. And she definitely sometimes didn't act majorly respectfully towards me in a lot of ways. We had silly arguments. I was criticized for things that were really silly, like not putting on sunscreen in Dublin while I went for a walk after not having seen the sun. She wouldn't talk to me for 3 hours because I didn't want to put sun protection on. Again, I'm ginger. I burn easily. I get that. I'm the wrong kind of white. I understand that. But I was going to put it on. But then she decided not to speak to me for 3 hours. That makes you a shell of yourself because I want you to have your needs met. And you need to have some huevos. You need to have some cojones in the way you communicate. And it can be super loving. Me and Fernanda, my fiance, who I've been with for 6 years, who I met in a pub in Dublin six and a half years ago. It's an extremely loving relationship. I treat her extremely well, but there's also moments where she feels masculine energy coming from me in a very healthy, loving, but very clear way. And that creates attraction. It is not enough to be kind. Professor Scott Galloway, who I really respect in a lot of ways, even though I don't share all of his political views, I respect him in a lot of ways. He says kindness is super important. Women value kindness, and he's absolutely spot on. But saying kindness is all it takes is like saying you need to breathe air to grow muscle. Yeah, bruv, I need to breathe air to grow muscle. It's necessary but not sufficient. That is a baseline requirement. But above that, it's mindset, and communication. You master that, you will be able to create so much attraction and desire in the right woman for you that you've never seen before. And if you're a man who's doing well in your career or your business, and you want me to help you personally find the right girlfriend or wife, click the link below, apply for a free initial consultation, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.